and how can we then kind of reground ourselves to just make it through each day, and each moment of each day. How do you practice being in the now, whether it's through meditation or prayer or just a reminder of whatever tools that you've gained as a psychologist? I'm just curious what that's like for you.
Well, I think for me, it is just recognizing that I'm going to have my days, I'm going to have my moments, I'm going to have my emotions. They're going to come, and accept those. And if I need to say, this is my mental health day, this is the day that's blocked off for me to accept that, and then the next day be well and be back to that help and professional, then that's okay. I think that for me has been the staying in the now, is to recognize, again, like I said, those two patients passing just within hours of one another, and that experience with the family and just wrapping the bodies, just reminding me that I'm very human, and that I don't have to push myself beyond what should I just expect of myself, and know that every day or every moment or every second is going to be completely different, and to listen to my body and to listen to my head and to listen to my heart. And know that, there are going to be incredible days where the rainbow is shining, and I'm going to it's a beautiful day outside. The world couldn't be, any better. And then there's going to be that day that, or that moment where I remember, hey, my grandmother loved rainbows and yada, yada, yada. So.
Yep. Oh, gosh. This is why I love talking to fellow psychologists, because you really do get it. And it's so simple, right? But I think it's so difficult for a lot of people, rightfully so, because we're not taught emotional intelligence. We're not taught, for a lot of people, it's okay to feel whatever it is you're feeling in that very moment. Like, this too shall pass. Nothing is permanent. And so, and being present and acknowledging whatever it is that comes up. Because the more that we try to stuff it down, it's like that beach ball that I always reference. Like, the more that we try to push a beach ball down, it's going to pop back up, and our emotional states are just exactly the same. Rather than, oh, what is this? This is sadness that I'm feeling. This is, I'm longing for this, my grandmother's presence, and that's okay too. So, yeah, I could have that conversation with you all day. But I want to respect your time and the listeners' time. So that was the now. We completed the action plan in terms of what you have done as you work through and continue to work through the loss of your grandmother. And I will say, just as a side note, my book, my first book is From Mourning to Night, Overcoming Loss.
Right.
And if I were to go back and retitle it, I probably would retitle it Working Through Loss. Because I don't think we necessarily ever overcome loss. It's just about how do we learn how to work through it and do these things on a day-to-day basis that can help us work through it and live with this new normal. Right. So, that being said, Dr. Willis, can you do me a favor and tell me any words of advice, or any words of wisdom that you would give to people as they work through their own losses, whether they're fresh, just like yours, or whether they're 10 or 20 years in the making?
Right. I think some of the things that we were taught are incredibly useful, like the use of journaling and kind of like leaving that emotion in the paper, because I journal. Not just in my practice, but just for myself, because I believe in the incredible usefulness of it. So journaling and writing about those. And when, you close that book or close that journal, allow that to be that moment and put it aside and go to do what you need to do. So I think that's one of the things that just kind of really sticks out in my own head, and recognize, I think one of the things for myself was, like my partner was like, you're my superhero. And know that sometimes you're not going to always be able to be everybody's superhero. And know that just, hey, you need to be sometime helped as well. Because I think, especially as men, we're taught that we have to be strong, and that kind of like beingness of weakness and crying and like sometimes passing out, if so be it, it makes you less than a man. But know that that's just not who you have to be all the time for everybody.
Yes, and yes. Yeah, it's okay to cry. You know?
Right. Exactly.
You know, it reminds me of there's a quote from one of Common's songs a long time ago, and he said, "I guess knowing I'm weak is when I'm really being strong," and really acknowledging, you know, that feeling of weakness, that feeling of being tired, that crying. You know? Right. Yep. Man, so everybody out there, write, journal. And if you don't like to write, you can always dictate in your phone. You can do voice memos, but get it out somehow. Awesome. And are there any resources that you would recommend to anybody? Anything that you could think of that might be helpful for people?
Well, I think your book is incredible. I read your book. And I think that's an incredible resource.
I didn't tell him to plug it, y'all.
No.
No, I appreciate that.
And I think I got it right in time because it was like a couple of weeks before my grandmother's passing. So that was really great. I think I like to write. So cognitive behavioral therapy just worked well for me. So writing, and just picking up a self-help book sometimes is just like, wow. Now I get to look at this not from a clinician administering or talking through a worksheet or through a process, but then now I'm on the other side of just doing it with myself.
So let me just say, you've highlighted, you know, I think just the importance of being human. You know, and even it doesn't matter how many letters you have behind your name, we are all human. And even if we're in the field of mental health, that does not mean that we can't benefit from it ourselves. So thank you for making that clear to the audience, because as you were saying, I know you said your partner says you're like a superhero to me, and people can tend to see us like that. And then it's like, wait, I have to hold up this image. And it's okay to not always hold that. So... but I think even just doing that self-exploration, that writing, all of those things just complete your humanity. All right. Well, let's do this. Can you tell the people where they can find you on social media? Tell the people where they can find you. Okay.
So I'm on website, I have Instagram, Facebook, and I'm all under the Nurse Doc. So www.thenursedoc.com, all one word, whether you be on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or the web. And that I hope is kind of self-explanatory because I'm a nurse and I'm also a psychologist, so they just kind of bridge the two. But at the same time, I thought that I offered a unique perspective in being a nurse and coming from such a very critical biophysical history, and then learning the mental health side of it. So I just put the two together. So that's how I can be found. I love to talk about the significance of relationships and how profound they can be in helping us get to who we think we are and who we want to be, and at the same time that relationship within ourselves and how so important it is. I'm still learning about it for myself, about staying in touch and connected with myself. So.
Well, let me say this. You've been very vulnerable today. So I commend you. I thank you so much. Man, just from the bottom of my heart. And I really love seeing all the wonderful things that you're doing and continue to do. And like I said, your perspective is so different as a nurse, as a doctor, as a psychologist. And, we need more views like that and more people out there in the field who have that understanding. So I appreciate you sharing your story with the people. Y'all be sure to look him up, The Nurse Doc. He also does a web show or a live every Sunday. So be sure to check that out if you have a chance. Again, Dr. Wesley Willis, I really appreciate you being a part of this show. Thank you so much. And we'll sign off. Peace, love, and light.
Have a great one.
All right. Bye.
Bye.